And a very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world on this Wednesday morning, midweek, my dear friends. Today happens to be the 16th day of the month, October 2019. I'm George Grant saying thanks a lot for joining us. Take a look. First again, hey, you got to give somebody else a chance, Hazel. Hazel is first up there on Facebook this morning. Nice to see you guys, my dear friends. Yeah, we are being bathed in sunshine here on this gloriously beautiful, beautiful morning. We got so much to be thankful for. Friends, Sherry Wilson is number 2 this morning. Anthea Rello, number 3. Margaret Francis, number 4. Where is Pedro this morning? Where is Arthur this morning? Where is Kipling this morning? They'll be there. They'll be there. You just give them a chance. They're putting on their nail polish and lipstick and you know, the rouge and all that stuff before they show up on Facebook, if you know what I mean. Here he comes. Arthur's saying good morning, and Benedict is saying a wonderful Wednesday. My dear friends, here's what we're going to get into this morning. The unions. You know about this big negotiation that's taking place between the unions and government? Well, there's been some movement. The unions have decided to revise their proposals downward in a new offer, which has now been made to government. And they sent out a release yesterday to inform everybody about this new move. And I'm going to share that release with you this morning, verbatim. Hey, yeah, downward movement and the demands the unions are making. Then, boy, we got some interesting stuff this morning. Interesting stuff. You know, every week we seem to get a piece from the National Democratic Congress. It's a column they put out captioned Heartbeat, NDC Heartbeat. Well, I got one last night, and we're going to share that with you this morning. It is captioned Fiscal Irresponsibility. An interesting piece, which again I think was penned by Claudette Joseph, who does a lot of their PR for them. And yes, we do have the national report for you this morning. And guess what, my dear friends, guess what? We have got our friend with us. She ain't here in Grenada. I feel kind of lonely this morning because usually on a Wednesday morning she's sitting in that chair right across here from me on my left. But she's not been doing too well, and she's out there in Florida. And we're going to find out exactly why she's in Florida. And I'm going to ask you, my dear friends, to say a little prayer for our buddy, Sherron, okay? So we'll get to all of that stuff in just a wee bit. Let me turn back here now to Facebook for just a minute. Kipling Francis is sending his blessings as always. And guess who? Lincoln Roberts saying good day, everyone. He says he wishes he was here in beautiful Grenada, and he's asking that you guys have a blessed day. Every day, not just today, every day. Thanks a lot, Linky. And as always, he's sending much love to us. Thank you, really appreciate it. Sawandi, Fabio, Sam, and Jeannie Pascal are both there as well this morning. So good to see you guys. Now, let's get down to brass tacks on this Wednesday morning. Time's now 4 minutes after the hour. Despite the failure of the government negotiating team, for short, GNT, to deliver on its promise to return to the bargaining table with a revised salary proposal, on Monday, 14th October, the negotiating team of the Grenada Public Workers Union and the Grenada Technical and Allied Workers Union offered a new revised proposal to the GNT, scaling back on its original proposal for salary increases for the period 2020 to 2022 on behalf of its members. The unions jointly representing public sector workers across the Tri-Island state reiterate our position of October 8th, 2019, our last meeting with the GNT, where we clearly stated that we are ready, willing, and able to continue negotiations for the period inclusive of 2020 to 2022 in good faith. We seek to responsibly dialogue with the GNT to obtain mutual gains for our membership, the government of Grenada, and the entire country. While a revised, improved proposal from the unions was based on GNT's documented commitment to do so, despite of that failure, in the spirit of good faith negotiations, the unions took action to move the process of the negotiations forward by making a responsible compromise. The unions have therefore revised its original proposals of 7%, 8%, and 8% for 2020 to 2022 respectively to reflect an improved proposal for the 3-year period as follows. In 2020, they're now asking 6.5%. 2021, 7.5%. And 2022, 8%. And they have proposed a meeting date of Tuesday, October 22nd, 2019, for consideration by the GNT, that's the government negotiating team. The unions note with interest the unilateral declaration made by Minister Oliver Joseph on Tuesday, October 8th, that negotiations with the unions have deadlocked. We agreed to no such position, and as such, remind the GNT that any agreement of any sort must be decided by both parties. We note as well that this declaration was made after only the 3rd engagement of the unions and the GNT, the first of which was declared as more of a familiarization session. We again strongly denounce this autocratic approach to the collective bargaining process and wish to remind Minister Joseph and the GNT that, as expressed by the former chairperson, Mrs. Beryl Isaac, at the first meeting negotiations are conducted privately at the bargaining table between both parties in the interest of productive and cordial engagements, and not in the public domain. Our unions regard as paramount a fair and just process which secures the interest of all our members, while paying importance to supporting the social and economic development of our country. We urge that further negotiations are conducted on the principles of trust, mutual respect, and constructive dialogue to resolve our differences. Finally, we therefore urge all members across the wider public service and every Grenadian citizen to stand firm with the unions for this just cause. All right? That's the text of a statement which was issued yesterday by the unions. That came in sometime yesterday afternoon. Thought we had to share that with you this morning. Now, let's see here. Kipling Francis says, so now the people who live on telling lies are the ones calling others liars, and they are convincing. Kipling, I don't have a clue, not a clue, what you're talking about. Jeannie Pascal says, George, your volume is very low. Well, let me yell, let me yell. Can you hear me better now, Jeannie? I certainly hope so. Okay, so now let's turn to the NDC heartbeat. Fiscal responsibility legislation is a new and growing trend embraced by governments around the world in an attempt to promote and embrace fiscal prudence and ensure greater transparency in budget management. Fiscal responsibility laws are enacted voluntarily in most countries. In the case of Grenada, the Fiscal Responsibility Act, number 29 of 2015, was imposed on our government by the IMF as a requirement of the Structural Adjustment Program. It was necessary that we have this law because the previous Mitchell government went to the IMF in 2003, and by 2006, had virtually abandoned all of the agreed conditions that would have ensured some level of fiscal stability in the economy. This time around, the IMF did not trust them. It had to be written into law. Section 14 of the Fiscal Responsibility Law establishes a Fiscal Responsibility Oversight Committee, known to you and me as FROC, remember that? Whose main function is to monitor government to make sure they comply with the rules and targets set out in the law. FROC is required to submit a yearly report on its assessment to the Parliament. In short, FROC's duty is to watch over the government and report on its findings. Whatever government says about its economic performance, the FROC report is a better place to go to find the truth. The latest FROC report on the economy's performance in 2018 contains some unhappy truths. FROC has to date published 3 reports, the most recent dated April 30th of this year. The first observation is that, in essence, the FROC complains that the data submitted to it from the Ministry of Finance is of questionable integrity, not comprehensive in scope, and does not support government's claims of sound economic management. At page 11 of the report, FROC notes the following, and I quote, "The data submitted by the Macroeconomic Policy Unit for the preparation of this report does not capture that of the covered entities. The unit has been working towards ensuring that the full data set, as required by the Act, is available for the preparation of FROC's reports. In the meantime, this omission has given rise to the caution applied in the assessment of a number of the rules and targets." Essentially, FROC is intimating that the statistics emanating from Dr. Mitchell's Ministry of Finance do not reflect the true state of things. The debts of certain of the statutory bodies which ought to be included are not included. Furthermore, of the data provided, there is no validation mechanism. The implication of these omissions is that the findings may be skewed. For instance, the degree of noncompliance and failure to meet targets may be even greater than reported, so that in terms of wage bill to GDP ratio, the extent of the increase in expenditure, and the primary balance, the FROC concluded that there was compliance, but this conclusion was, quote, with reservations, because in all instances, the data provided did not include data on public entities. The report also exposes some of the falsehoods often stated about the performance of the economy. There is a heavy dependency on the National Transformation Fund, mainly the CBI funds, with about 70% of all capital grants spent in 2018 coming from that source. This highlights the need for government to find alternative sources of capital funding. Public sector debt, which is stated to be at 72.8% of GDP, is hailed by government as a major achievement. However, the report concludes that, and I quote, this level is understated since complete data is unavailable on the total debt and contingent liabilities of statutory bodies and state-owned entities as at the end of December 2018. And not providing the necessary data, the relevant department of the Ministry of Finance is in breach of Section 13 of the law. Unfortunately, it is the same wayward minister who has legal responsibility to make sure that statistical data is supplied. Government is once more borrowing very heavily. In July, the Parliament approved borrowing of an additional $118 million for unidentified purposes. This is a cause of major concern because a comparison between 2017 and 2018 at page 15 shows no significant reduction in the debt stock. At the same time, tax revenue for January to June 2019 declined by $3.2 million over the same period last year. This means that our fiscal situation is very fragile. If we keep borrowing while at the same time failing to significantly reduce our debt and increase our revenue, the NDC fears that very soon we will be right back to where we started. The report also exposes that while Grenada's debt management strategy contemplates the medium term, all borrowing is long term. There appears to be a deliberate effort to spend less to make the figures look good. Hence, consistent reports of expenditure reduction. In so doing, our roads, schools, hospitals, and public officers' pensions and salaries are sacrificed. The Fiscal Responsibility Law itself says that it was passed to, and I quote, establish a transparent and accountable rule-based fiscal responsibility framework for Grenada to guide and anchor fiscal policy for Grenada during the budget process to ensure that government finances are sustainable over the short, medium, and long term, unquote. The success of the measures imposed by this law will only be as much as government's willingness to abide by the compliance rules and targets set out in it. The NNP has always been reckless in government and will take much more than a law on the books to attain fiscal responsibility under them. Okay? Yes, sir. Government must have the interest of the people at heart and the will to exercise fiscal discipline. Mitchell and his NNP simply do not have this. What we have seen instead is convenient reliance on the fiscal responsibility law every time government wants to shaft public workers. There really is only one way out. They must be out of office. That, Pilgrims, hello, 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 hello. That, Pilgrims, is the text, the NDC Heartbeat, which came in last night. It's up on the GRENADABROADCAST.com website. You can go check it out. All right, let me get back here to social media. Okay, Kipling, I'm just going to ignore this because, again, I have no clue what you're talking about. Ryan Bond saying, good morning, George. Osmond Lewis is saying, good morning, George. Hey. Claude Putnam, good morning to you, Claude. And Ryan says, Fiscal Responsibility Oversight Committee, also known as FROG, is an enigma. Okay. All right, my dear friends, let me see here now. Woo, 22 minutes after the hour. I'm running a little bit late. Okay. Let me take a first little break here, and then we're going to go on over to Florida and say good morning to Sherron.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grand Dance, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Hey, what? I just came from the land and this sign here caught my eye. What's that sign about?
Someone must have asked Grenlec to move a pole. But you know, there's no space reserved on the side of the road for planting poles. So Grenlec has to get permission from landowners, and that can take a lot of time.
Oh, Grenlec asked me to help them contact my neighbor Ben about planting a pole on his land. But Ben passed away. His children own the land, but they all live abroad.
That's why Grenlec needs customers to inform them in writing at least 3 months in advance.
3 months? All that?
It seems like a lot, but think about the time it will take for Grenlec to find and get permission from all of Ben's children. And sometimes moving one pole requires you to move the pole before, the one after, plus the wires that support them on the ground. That means even more landowners to find and get permission from. Then Grenlec needs to schedule their teams and notify customers about any power outages.
Well, I need the pole on the farm moved, so I'm going to write Grenlec a letter now.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply departments and Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
All right, just a quick comment here from somebody before I go to the national report. Patricia Wilson has what I consider a profound comment, because it's something I've also thought about from time to time. She says, I always wondered whether the IMF did a thorough study of the government data before they gave their assessment of the fiscal performance. Yeah, I've often wondered about that, Patricia. Pilgrims, here comes your national report.
Government announces reduction in subsidy granted for passports. Details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Tuesday, October 15th, I am Leslie Ann Johnson. Government has announced a reduction in the subsidy granted for passports, which will result in an increased fee to be paid by members of the public. Effective November 1st, 2019, the fee for passports will increase from $175 to $250. When the e-passport was launched in July 2018, Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell indicated that the cost was heavily subsidized and it would have to be reviewed. On Tuesday, during the government's weekly post-cabinet press briefing, Legal Affairs Minister the Honorable Kindra Maturin-Stewart said the new fee follows Cabinet's approval of an amendment to the passport regulations. She said while government agreed to subsidize the fee initially, it was stated that this was not sustainable over the long term.
On 17th July 2018, the e-passport was launched here in Grenada. This is a specific passport that has specific biometric features and, of course, a radio frequency identification chip. You may recall that at the launch, it was announced that the cost of that said passport, being at the time $175, that cost was in fact a subsidized cost. It was also announced at the launch that government was prepared to subsidize this cost to the extent of only 1 year. The fact is that government cannot continue to subsidize this cost to this extent. And so, and this is because obviously we would not be in a position to recover most of the cost expended on the manufacturing or printing of these passports.
Minister Maturin-Stewart says although the cost of the passport has increased, Grenadians will still not pay the full charge, as government will continue to subsidize just on a smaller scale.
For the issue of a Grenadian passport to a person, of course, who is a citizen, or a person who is a holder of a Grenadian passport that is due to expire within 6 months, the fee will now be $250. So it's an increase from $175 to $250. Now, it is important to note that the actual cost of the production of one of these passports is $300. So you can see the government still continues to subsidize this cost in this extent, of course, albeit to a lesser extent. And we must remember that the actual cost of the production of the passport is $300.
Explaining the rationale for the increase, Head of Immigration and Chief Passport Officer ASP Leroy Joseph said tremendous value must be placed on the enhanced security features of the e-passport, which provides for a very secure travel document.
The unit cost for production of Grenada e-passport ranges from $300 to $375. When the upgraded passport was launched in July of 2018, it was offered at a significantly reduced cost of $175. It was stated then that this cost cannot be indefinitely subsidized. Therefore, as of November 1st, 2019, persons will be required to pay the new fee of $250. Although this represents an increase to the general public, it is still reflective of a government subsidy. The new cost brings Grenada on par with other OECS countries. At $250, the passport still represents cost saving for nationals, and it must be viewed in a wider context of the upgraded security features that are included, which are in keeping with international standard and has increased Grenada ranking in terms of passports. The chip encoded into the passport is a major security feature that significantly reduces the possibility of counterfeit. So bearing in mind the security features, the strength of the passport, and the actual production costs, which ranges from $300 to $375, the passport fee of $250 still offers value for money for nationals of Grenada.
It was also disclosed at Tuesday's press briefing that amendments were also made to the immigration regulations, resulting in an increase of $50 in the fee.
Under the 2018 regulations, for each month for which an extension of stay was granted, that fee was $25. Now it has now been increased to $75.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Lands invites you to the 2019 World Food Day activities on Wednesday, October 16 at the Seton James Street, Grenville, St. Andrew. The activities begin with an open ceremony from 10 to 11 a.m. Exhibition begins at 10 a.m. and goes until 8 p.m. Arts, craft, jewelry, skincare products, agro products, farmers market, cultural display, food sampling, and more. Remember, World Food Day 2019, October 16. Our actions are our future. Healthy diets for a zero hunger world. For more information, please contact 440-2708. It's World Food Day Activities 2019.
Continuing the news, Labour Commissioner Mr. Cyrus Griffith will begin conciliatory talks in the dispute between government's negotiating team and the Grenada Technical and Allied Workers Union and the Public Workers Union on Thursday, October 17. The conciliation talks come on the heels of the deadlock in negotiations declared by the GNT last week, given the wide disparity in proposals presented by either side for wage increases for public officers. Pre-conciliation talks will be held separately with each side on Thursday ahead of the first conciliatory meeting on Friday. The Labour Commissioner has asked the disputing parties to provide their wage increase proposals and rationale ahead of this week's talks. The unions are seeking a 25% increase in salary for public officers over the next contract cycle, 2020 to 2023, which is expected to increase government's wage bill by $90 million. Government's negotiating team is offering public officers increases amounting to $26.5 million as part of an overall package that also includes pension restoration to qualifying officers. Court operations at the Clico building on Young Street are expected to commence on Monday, October 21st. On Tuesday, it was announced by Legal Affairs Minister the Honourable Kendra Mathurin-Stewart that contractors have completed work on retrofitting the facility to accommodate 4 courts, administration and judges' chambers. Minister Mathurin-Stewart says the final stage of preparatory work is being done, including placement of furniture and cleaning of the various spaces.
At present, ongoing now with the assistance of prisons, the furniture is now being moved into the building. Some of these furnitures are taken from our old court building on the Carnage, and some are taken from the Supreme Court Registry. This movement will take place today and tomorrow. After this process, there will be a final deep cleaning, will be done, of course, by external company, and also various checks will be conducted on the elevators and the security systems that have been installed there. From Monday, it is anticipated that we will begin court operation at that particular facility.
She expressed her gratitude to members of the Bar Association and the general public for their patience. The building is an alternative and interim solution as government remains committed to establishing the halls of justice.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the members of the bar, the public, for their support and understanding during this period. It was in fact a difficult period for all of us, but you know, we would not have been at this stage had it not been for the constant support of the Grenada Bar, the executive of the Bar Association, the registry staff, and everybody involved in this process. And so, you know, we're now beginning to see a light at the end of the tunnel. And as you know, the CLICO building is not the ultimate. It is not the final solution to our courts infrastructure. We have also started really in earnest to look at the implementation and the construction of our halls of justice. It is something that I would really like to see happen before I demit office as the Minister for Legal Affairs. So we continue to press on, we continue to place great emphasis on the administration of justice, the due administration of justice, and we will continue to do just that as we forge ahead.
Finally, Grenadian attorney Lisa Taylor has been appointed the new honorary consul of the Kingdom of Spain to Grenada. On Tuesday, Ms. Taylor, an attorney at law for 23 years, was presented with her instruments of appointment by the Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Peter David. A brief ceremony was held at the Minister's office at the Ministerial Complex. Minister David used the opportunity to talk about the enduring relations between Grenada and Spain, which began in 1976 when both countries established diplomatic relations. Grenada is accredited under Spain's embassy in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. And that's the National Report. I'm Leslie Ann Johnson.
Alrighty, folks. Let me explain to you why I'm laughing. First of all, Lydia James says here, I'm here listening to all the broken English. And Lydia, listen, I was cracking up here a little while ago. The minister said that something about seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. A light at the end of the... Have you guys ever seen one of those? If you do, my number is 415-0631. Call me, let me know, or send me an email at info@GrenadaBroadcast.com. I want to go find the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm not the only person who caught that. Look here. Margaret says she never realized there was an R in tunnel. In tunnel. Wow. Okay. I want to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let me see here. Sherron Roberts says, I also thought that the plural of furniture was furniture, no S. Andrea St. B. Mitch says, I thought I heard an S too, shaking my head. Yaman. Yeah, man. Folks, once again, don't curse me for this, but I don't blame these people. It is our education system. They're not the only people mispronouncing those words. They're not. It's our education system. Let me see here. Sean says the National Distortion Report. That's what he's referring to this newscast as. Okay. Now, you guys were also commenting on the passport. Andrea St. B says, on the issue of passports, does anyone know the status of Charles Liu's Grenadian passport? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. One of many things we haven't been hearing about. And Margaret is asking, can we get a breakdown of the passport production cost? You know, something I noticed in that report, and the minister did say this, the new fees they're going to be charging, she went out of her way to make mention of the fact that that is not the actual fee. I interpreted that as a warning that you could see another escalation in the price of passports. Take that as a heads up, pilgrims. Take that. Just going back here to what we were talking about earlier on, fiscal responsibility, and the fact that what we're being told by government does not reflect reality, as according to the report put out by FROC, the Fiscal Responsibility Oversight Committee. And Andrea is asking the question, or saying here, she says, I think, oh, hold on a minute. Hold on. Patricia Wilson says she always wondered whether the IMF did a thorough study of the government data before they gave their assessment of the fiscal performance. And we did agree that, you know, many of us have wondered that. Then Andrea says, I guess they think they are being given factual data in good faith. Maybe, okay? Maybe. Maybe they need to take a peep into who works in these offices. Members, maybe of a particular team. Makes you wonder. I don't have to go into that. You folks know. You understand. It's not news to us. Break time then, Sherron.
GRENADABROADCAST Community Partnership Initiative, supporting health.
To the individuals who will be using these vehicles to serve the people, please ensure while we are using these tools that we use these tools in a manner that we will all be proud of. To GRENLEC, a long-standing partner with us, a true testament of what can happen when private and public sector work together for the benefit of the people.
GRENADABROADCAST, energizing our community.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
Mm-mm. I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this. Where you get that? At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Alrighty, folks, just a couple more quick comments here. First of all, Lydia James says, within the next 2 years, the price of passports will rise again. I wouldn't doubt that for 1 minute, Lydia. And she also goes on to say, NNP government is a vampire. They're sucking the blood out of sufferers. And that's a quote from Bob Marley. Patricia Wilson says, why can't the passports continue to be subsidized until the realistic conclusion of the SAP? That's the Structural Adjustment Program. Well, we'll see whether or not Sherron wants to pick up on that a little later on. Right now, let's say good morning to the lady who's wearing my favorite color this morning, turquoise. How are you, Sherron?
I am doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Are you sure, Sherron?
I've had some real serious issues, but I'm doing pretty good.
That's what I meant when I said really, Sherron, because I know that that's one of the reasons. I know that's one of the reasons why you're up there in
right?
Florida.
Considering everything else, you know, for some reason I have a very high pain threshold. So stuff that would make people cry out, I sort of grin and bear it. But, you know, old people say when water more than flour.
Yeah. I remember that saying.
So in the past, whenever my back hurt, I would get a Reiki treatment or give myself Reiki, and I'm good to go for a couple of days, and then you have to start all over. And as you know, recently we had a Reiki gathering, and I got a lot of Reiki. And yet within 2 days, I was in a lot of pain. You would know sometimes we walk in the beach and I have to stop.
Yeah.
Because of pain in my lower back. So I came and, well, I've been having some treatment in Grenada from an osteopath where she try and find the pain and bend and crack and stretch me. And for 2 days I'm okay, and then back to pain. Mm-hmm. So I came up here. Somebody recommended Dr. Isaac here, and I saw her and did an MRI just to find out that I actually have 3 issues with my lower back. I have not so much a slip disc as a herniated disc. I have a hairline crack in one of my vertebrae, and bone spurs. So where the nerve go through that hole, keep touching on the bone. And whenever that happens, I get a shocking sensation down my left leg, and sometimes I can't even move the leg. So, good news is, I'm now wearing a back brace, which took like almost 50% of that pain away immediately. So, I had the hairline crack came and I had a fall. Going to open my front door, you know, they say a lot of accidents happen within the home. Someone was calling from the road and I went to open the door and I slipped. I went up in there and came down on my back, broke my ankle and got that crack. So God is good. I am up, I'm moving, and I wouldn't say that I'm painless, but I'm in a much better place than I was for the last 2 years.
You know, first of all, Lydia James says, whoa, that pain is unbearable. And I know what she's talking about. You know, I have had a problem with a slip disc in my back, and I wouldn't want to go through any such pain again in my life, Sherron. It is horrible, horrible. And now, so you're wearing a back brace, brace back. Does that mean that it's like wearing a saddle? Are you like all saddled up and ready to go?
Almost. But I am not one to wallow in pain and things. So this too would pass. The good book said, and it came to pass. It didn't say, and it came to stay.
Yeah.
So this too will pass.
All right, folks, I'm going to look you right in the eye now and ask those of you who are with us this morning to please remember our good friend Sherron in your prayers, okay? Please.
Thank you.
Say a word for her. So, apart from that this morning, Lydia James is cracking up here laughing. Apart from your saddle, Sherron, what else is up your sleeve this morning?
Well, I'm listening to the whole passport discussion. And I don't know if people paying attention to the fact that not only is the cost going up, or the cost has gone up because it went up some short while ago as well, but the pages are getting less. You no longer get a 10-year passport, now it's a 5-year passport. So you're paying
hold on. Isn't it the
other
other way around? Isn't it now 10 years?
No, dear.
It's gone from 10 to 5.
It is now 5 years. I just got a new passport and it's 5 years.
Okay.
And the reality is, when you reach my age, there's not much difference between 5 years ago and now. There are a little gray hairs, yes. But I could understand for a 1-year-old child, 5 years, because for 10 years, in 10 years, you're totally different. But for old people like me, when you have a passport for 5 years, and 5 years flies like nothing, and then you have to pay more for less, they're really doing a job on us. But one thing I don't agree with Lydia when she said they will put up the price in 2 years or so, because remember what they do in election year? They're not touching the price of passport.
Yeah.
And in the next 2 years, you would be entering an election year. So it would be like that for a little while.
Okay.
And I put it up next year, but not in the next 2 years.
Lydia says that's what they call pay more for less.
Yep.
You know, did you notice when the minister said that that's not the actual price of the passport? And did you interpret that like I did to mean that the prices are going to be going up?
Well, they're trying to tell you, you know, for example, when you apply for a U.S. visa, they tell you that the visa is free, right? The cost of a U.S. visa is free. What you're paying for is the administrative cost, paperwork. So she's trying to tell you that it costs more than that for a passport. But the reality is, if it costs more than that, why is it in St. Kitts you're paying $50 for a passport? Why is it less in most of the OECS islands? So you wonder.
Now,
and the thing is, some of us just have to keep quiet, or some of us just keeping quiet.
now, didn't the immigration officers said that we're still very comparable to the other OECS islands?
I saw a document last night that showed the cost of it. I think the only island that paying the same as us is St. Lucia.
And the others are lower?
If I'm not, the others are the lowest being St. Kitts at 50, and then you have 150, 175. St. Vincent is much less. I think I'm entitled to a St. Vincent passport. You know, my grandmother is from Beckway. So.
You know, I really hope this gentleman was telling the truth when he said that our rates are comparable with the others, because I hope that's just not another deception being dumped on us. You know, there's so many nowadays, you just don't know what to believe anymore, but I really hope so. By the way, Lydia says, I said within the next 2 years, but that could be next year.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And they might do it next year because they know Grenadians have a very short memory. So within an election year, you forget what they did 2 years before.
Yeah.
You know?
She says, in the other countries, the price for children is less. Grenada is across the board, so says Lydia.
Right.
Yeah. Sherron, let me ask you something here. Let's leave this old passport thing for just a minute. Let me ask you this here. You know, you go back and forth between here and the United States, and you're not just in Florida, you go to other states and so on. When you visit the United States, what sort of impression do Grenadians living up there have of us back here?
Well, it's a mixed reaction. People up here seem to think that we have it real good down there. Well, weather-wise and
beaches.
Yeah, the beaches and the nice things that you go on vacation for. They're aware that cost of living is very high in Grenada compared to here. You, with the same amount of money, you live a better life here. But then you have the advantages that in Grenada, you could go and get a breadfruit from your neighbor and some callaloo outside, and you could hit up an oil down for next to nothing in Grenada. So you have the little differences. But then, for example, if you're a coffee drinker, the bottle of coffee that they're paying like $3 here, US, we paying what? $63 PC? I don't know how that could be compared. So it's a mix. And then politically, the people who are not really involved in what is going on at home don't realize the level of victimization. And, you know, when you have, a couple of years ago when the Prime Minister spoke about his plans for Grenada, I thought, wow, if he is honest about what he's saying, Grenada would grow. Everybody would be happy. Grenada would be the paradise on earth. But the reality is they're lying so much, you know? And those of us who are on the ground and see what's happening in the political system know that what they're saying outside here when they come up here is not true. And yet, I don't know what happened. Like we have lost the will to fight. And when I say fight, I don't mean physically fight. I mean, like Grenadians have lost the will to represent themselves and say what you're doing is wrong. You know, I have seen cases when they talk about coming out and demonstrate and show, when you have like the same 6 people all the time. Right? You may have Randall Robinson, you may have Mr. forget his name, Earl Maitland, and a few people. the reality is that people have lost fight. And they want to protect their jobs too. So those of us who talking and not afraid to say what we have to say, not getting the support.
That loss of will is due to fear, in one case, due to fear of political victimization, which is a big thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you're not afraid of victimization for yourself, you have to think of your family and your children, and in some cases your grandchildren. You know, you have to be so careful. And a lot of times the Grenadians out here in the diaspora don't understand how serious it is. And those who understand, I mean, I hear, for example, in Belize, it's no longer legal to come in from the diaspora and vote. You know the situation in Grenada. You call election and all man jack and their body jump on the plane and come down and vote because the government pay for it.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know what is the solution for that.
Well, you know, I was talking to Cashton Hood the other day. By the way, Kaji's going to be on the program. Boy, we have one zinger coming up on Sunday. Kaji's going to be back here. But he does believe that Grenadians are becoming aware of what's happening, and I think a lot of that has to do with social media. So the tides are going to turn. Yeah, you know, sometimes these things take a little time, but the tides are turning, and people are becoming a lot more aware. And
you know something, George? I look at some people criticizing Kaji when he was on your show the other day. Now Kaji is one of my favorite people, my favorite all-time people. And for many reasons. Now, if you're doing something, I too supported NNP. But when I realized that what they were doing was too much for my conscience, I had to break. I am not a member of any political party, and I've said that before. If you're doing good, I say you're doing good. If you're doing bad, not only will I tell you you're doing bad, but I will try and find a solution so you could fix what you're doing. Some people just criticize for criticizing's sake. No, I don't function that way. But you have to realize that what Kaji is saying is the truth. He is speaking the truth as he sees it. And I hope to God he can do something about it, or some of us could do something about it. It's very sad to see what's happening to Grenada.
all right. We're running out of time, but I want to get these comments in here. God help us. Lydia James says, Lionel, Lydon, Lytress, all lies. And then she goes on to say, tell me if you remember this word. Grenada in real kukute. Do you remember that? You ever heard that term?
Yes.
Grenada and real kukute. And by the way, our friend Pele Darbo
You
has...
know what is kukute, right?
Pardon me?
You know what is kukute?
You tell me.
Kukute is when you make, when children play in house and they make kuku from mud. That is kukute.
Okay. Well, I didn't remember what the word meant, but I remember hearing it a lot as a child. Pele Darbo has chimed in here, and he says, St. Christopher, that's St. Kitts Nevis, passport, is $250 for 10 years. Under 16, it's $150 for 5 years. Okay? That's St. Kitts. St. Lucia is $80.
What? I thought St. Lucia was the one that was $250. So, okay, I got it twisted around.
Now, hear this. St. Vincent is $120. If you're under 16, it's $80.
Whoa!
Sherron.
Interesting. I better get a Vinci passport.
Sherron, don't tell me we've been lied to again.
Well, Nothing surprised me, George. I'm at a place where nothing surprised me.
Kipling Francis says the government lies, then accuses you of lying when you point out
Right.
their lies.
Yeah. Fake news.
Fake news. Okay, my dear. Okay.
But you know, we still have to, you know, in the Bible, in Romans, they tell you, I think it's Romans chapter 12, if I'm not mistaken, tell you that a country is given the government
It deserves.
that they deserve. Now, you have to wonder. Grenadians need to get on their knees. There must be a lesson in what is happening. There must be a lesson. This can't be just happening vike. There must be a reason for that.
Yeah.
And if it's a lesson, God is good. Some of us will learn the lesson, and some of us just have to keep praying and cover Grenada so that one day we'll be out of this mess.
We shall live by the grace of God.
Right? And you have to wonder what will replace that. We cannot be jumping from the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah.
So something have to happen. Something have to change.
Grenada has the highest in cost of living in the Caribbean, and our salary is the lowest. Oh, God help us. So says Lydia.
You know, one of the things I was going to tell you just now, and it sort of slipped me. I'm getting old, but it came back. So let me tell you now. When I spoke about Kaji and the fact that he stepped away and is now coming out with what we hope is the truth. Tobias Clement, I don't know if it's true, but I have to maybe see him for myself and talk to him to know if he's stepping away, if he has, I don't know, maybe he woke up to the reality of what is. I could tell him the wickedness, the wickedness they've done to that guy. And most of it he doesn't even know. He's not even aware of the wickedness they've done to him. And maybe if he knows, he would wake up to reality.
You know, look, you, Kaji, Terry, Tobias, well, he ain't gone yet, but there is an exodus taking place. I mean, it's clearly obvious.
And it's more than that, you know, but some people, they step away, but their partner is still involved. So they have to support them until they reach a place where they could move.
Yeah. All right, we got to go, girl. But Patricia Wilson says, yes, indeed, Sherron. The solution lies in removing the threat of victimization.
Mm-hmm.
And she also says here, thank God for his mercies towards you, Sherron. May he continue with his gracious anointing all over you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we hope that that saddle you're now wearing works.
Thank you, Gigi.
Come on back, and when next we go to the beach, give me a ride on that saddle.
Oh my God, you really want to break my back this time?
Yeah, come on, what are you talking about? I'm not that heavy. I'm not that heavy. Okay. Have a nice day, my dear friend. Good to hear from you, and I hope you're feeling better.
And special greetings to Sean. I see Sean is back on. You found him.
Which one?
Sean, far away.
Oh, in the Azores.
In the Azores.
Yes, good to see Sean again this morning, man. By the way, hold on a second. Hold on. They ain't going to let me go yet. Lydia says, Tobias make his 2 terms, so he ain't mind leaving now. His pension is sure.
All right. Lydia, greetings.
Thanks a lot, Sharon. God bless you, my friend. And hurry up and come home so we can go for another walk on the beach.
Okay, my dear. Blessings.
Take care.
Bye.
In our part of the world, we need to be prepared for natural disasters like storms and hurricanes, even outside of the season. I'm sure you'll agree that keeping our loved ones, homes, and businesses safe is important. So, I came up with a few quick tips to help you stay safe. First, make a family disaster plan and ensure that everyone in your household is familiar and comfortable with it. Remember to add batteries and flashlights to your emergency kit. Now, for electrical safety. Familiarize yourself with your electrical panel, as it may be necessary to switch off the power during a storm or flood. Make sure you install a transfer or isolation switch to prevent your generator feeding electricity to Grenlec's line. If trees are too close to power lines, call Grenlec at 237 for advice. By following these easy steps, you will be well on your way to being hurricane ready. Don't be caught off guard by natural disasters. Prepare now. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, just before we scoot a couple of comments here. Ryan says, atonement. Yeah, it's what we need. Ann Thomas says, Grenadians have to get on your knees and pray, pray, pray. I don't know how many are, Ann, but I'll tell you, I am one who has. And I do believe that things are going to pan out. May get worse before they get better, but by the grace of God, we will survive. Parting word this morning comes to you from the book of James, James chapter 5, verses 1 to 6. Now you listen to this carefully, okay? Listen. I quote, "Now listen, you rich people, weep and wail because of the misery that is coming on you. Your wealth has rotted, and moths have eaten your clothes. Your gold and silver are corroded. Their corruption will testify against you and eat your flesh like fire. You have hoarded wealth in the last days. Look, the wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. You have lived on earth in luxury and self-indulgence. You have fattened yourselves in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and murdered the innocent one who was not even opposing you. Pilgrims, you need to hear that again, especially in this day. James chapter 5, 1 to 6. Check it out. Lydia is saying, have a great day. Yvonne Joseph says, prayer alone won't cut it. The good book says faith without works is dead. Absolutely, absolutely, Yvonne. Yeah. Listen to her. Okay, Ryan's gone to the dentist. My dear friends, Georgie Porgy's getting out of here right now. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. What can I say? God bless you. God bless Grenada. By His grace. See you tomorrow.